Hello. Hello, guys. Welcome to today's Weather Tonight, episode number 22, I guess. We are on. Today is January 22nd, 2024, and we are in full swing. This is here. It's happening. This is what we started the show for. It's all happening, folks. It's so exciting to be here with y'all tonight and get to talk about the weather as it's unfolding because, oh my goodness, we've got a lot. We've got a lot of weather. So let's just jump into today's planetary transits. That'll be a good way to start it off. I'm here, as always, your host, Cloud Hudson. Hopefully y'all can see me. I'm broadcasting on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you're seeing me on Facebook, then don't forget to go over to the YouTube channel at Cloud Hudson, and then I would be able to see your chat live, hopefully. Now, let's go to look at these transits. Today is a moon day. We are in a Mercury hour right now. Let me refresh this. I loaded that. Yes. We're almost in a Mercury hour. I'm sorry. I guess we're technically still in a Venus hour, but we're about to be in a Mercury hour. But since it's still Venus's hour, let's talk about her. We had today Venus opposed by the sun, by the moon. Venus was opposite the moon from Earth's perspective. And that is right after Venus passed over the galactic center, which is located at roughly 27 degrees of Sagittarius right here. That is like when we're looking at how our solar system floats through the Milky Way galaxy, the center of the spiral of the Milky Way galaxy is like our direct line to it is through the degree of 27 degrees Sagittarius. So Venus just passed over the galactic center. Then we've got the moon opposing Venus today. So a lot of tension, but also opportunity for hard work between Venus stuff and moon stuff. I'm not going to get into what all of that signifies today because we've got so much to get through. And that was roughly squared by Neptune and Pisces at 25 degrees. I see that as activating the Neptune energy of Pisces, where we've had a lot of aspects to Saturn recently. We've got a lot more aspects to Neptune today. Again, we are still looking at a rough trine between Jupiter, Black Moon Lilith, and Mercury and Mars. Mercury and Mars are approaching their conjunction in Capricorn, which will happen later this week. We are also looking at the moon just made that opposition to Venus and now is applying to a sextile or a trine with Saturn. So that should be happy-ish. Happy little Saturn. Really making things like if the moon is the physical world and Saturn is physical constraints, we are really making our limits known right now, which I think is a great way to look at what is currently happening with our weather from space all the way to underground. So let's go ahead and talk about that. We have had a lot of solar activity recently. And remember, guys, my working theory, my hypothesis is that solar activity is the middle point in the tug of war between all of the gravitational influences of the heavenly bodies. So the sun would be like that flag in the middle of the rope on tug of war, and it goes over into the sides and shows us where the energy is getting pushed and pulled and exaggerated and such. It's a 11-year cycle. I wonder what else has an 11-year cycle. Okay, let's move on. I got a cool new, we are getting the reports coming in all over. I've got a new map up today. This is Aurorasaurus. This is a map where we can get reports of aurora from all over. Well, this is where we've got some observers. Let's go over here. This line that they've got here is the line that they expect you would be able to see the aurora happening at, and this auroral oval is what we see usually. But if we march through tomorrow, we are really looking at our aurora activity from all of this. Let's go to midnight on tomorrow. Oh, it won't let me do that. Let's go to we're looking at well, I'm gonna put this one away. For now, I'm gonna put this away because we haven't seen the aurora reported yet. But as you can see here, we are probably going to see some in the next few days because we've had a strong negative spike in the magnetometers, both in Europe and Sweden, and here in Canada. We're seeing more negative components come in. We're also seeing, I like the European stack plot the best because that really shows this goes through all the different levels of different type. This is what we're getting right now. The BZ component is, well, it was strongly in the negative a minute ago, and it is now back in the positive. That is showing that we've got a lot of back and forth motion with the polarity of the magnetic field at the Earth, coming towards the Earth right now. We're looking at good chances of aurora if we are in the negative component, because that will be aligned opposite of the Earth's poles. So that gives it a better chance to actually stick. If it's a positive magnetic field, if the vertical component is in the positive direction, when we get that launch, when the magnetic field wave comes to us, then it doesn't pair quite as easily, but we're still getting the energy around the Earth. So it's, I mean, we're looking at much higher than predicted observances. We had a really high hemispheric power earlier in the day. Now we're calming back down again, but that is from, I mean, and our KP index is elevated. We're probably going to, we're looking at maybe a KP of 6 tomorrow. So a max KP index of 6. So let's take a look at the CMEs that are causing all of this, because we are expecting throughout the week all of this to, I mean, look at this. Right now, our maximum X-ray flux in the last 2 hours was a C 8.9. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it get into X-class flare today. And we've been at KP4 since 2324 UTC. And we have, and yet another. So that is 3 partial halo, or possible halo, potential full halo coronal mass ejections just today alone. Remember how yesterday I was all excited, yesterday I was all excited because we had that type 3 and we saw the activity significantly increase from the 21st. Well, documented on the 22nd, we've had 10, yes, that would be 10 CMEs, and 3 of them qualified as potentially having a full halo. So let's take a look at the first one. That is nothing to sneeze at. I would be excited to watch just that over and over again. This is, again, we're going to see the sandwich views of all of these in a second. But here's the type 4 angular width over 270 degrees. Might be a full launch. Yeah, you can see it goes, it's kind of like starting in the southeast quadrant and kind of rotating all the way around. Because remember, as it launches, it induces a magnetic field, like moving charged particles will induce the magnetic field with the things around it. So it will set off a chain reaction if it's strong enough, fast enough, and at the right angle to the other existing fields coming off of those sunspot regions. So check that out again. And this is a difference image. So everything you see is what's different than the baseline. This isn't in a particular, well, I'm not going to say that. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Not quite as beautiful as that one that I said looked, well, actually, I mean, it's even more perfect than the one that looked like a flower, but it's longer than that one too. Let's take a look at this third one that just recently happened. Another one up here and down here. Look at that. That means I'm going to, let's take a look at real-time solar activity dashboard. Got a lot of sunspot regions still, all kind of in this line, rotating slightly out of Earth view, but the far side of the sun also has some big flare players active over there. Got really high solar radio flux. That solar protons are elevated as well. Oh yeah, look at that. We almost had an S1 level of activity today. And this would be protons per centimeter squared per second. And I think that this indicates that we might not only have possibility of regular aurora, but also of proton aurora. So I'm really excited to see if we get some like unique aurora activity coming up in the next few days. Oh, we did get to M-class flare. Let's take a look at all of it. Yeah, over the past 24 hours, we got to a M3.45. Yeah, twice we got into M-class range. So that would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've got 5 spikes into the M range right now, really elevated, and I don't see this going down anytime soon. I mean, it is actively going down, but this is going to spell a lot of space weather happening on Earth in the next couple days. And it depends on how fast the solar wind, how fast it gets here. So let's go ahead and take a look at our expected solar wind and plasma densities. There was that one launch. I guess they don't have any of the new ones modeled yet. But as you can see, this is why I was talking about the magnetic field component being positive, negative, and fluctuating really rapidly. We're going through that very fast here. Very interesting. I mean, that's the one that we saw the other day from the 16th. I don't think that they've gotten today's CMEs rendered yet. So let's take a look at the Solar Dynamics Observatory data. We do the Space Weather Agency did also have a model, but their model hasn't been working very well for me lately, so I'm not going to waste time trying to load that. Let's take a look at just 193. I might be biased, but I think 193 is the coolest one. Why would I be biased towards that? Because I was born in 1993 and I'm biased towards those numbers. Okay. Yeah, that's the one I've been waiting on. These are puffing up too. This one too. My goodness. There's that big filament launch right down here. And yeah, let's take another look at that. Past 48 hours have been going off. Big storm over here. And then this is where we're seeing this filament get disturbed and launched. You see all of that launched right there. Unstable. Let's look at how unstable it is. You can see it kind of start to rope out. You can see it arcing over, twiddling its thumbs. If we saw it from the side, it would look like one of these filaments, and it just went like that. And then we've got like a slight hole rotating into view here. I wonder if that's going to push some fast solar winds behind all of this. Probably. Let's take a look at the composite one. Take a look at the composite right now. Still very active here and here. And then let's wait for this filament launch. Watching it ripple across each wavelength level. This is 3 different angstrom values taken. So really they're colors that we don't see as colors, but it's 3 different colors sandwiched on top of each other. This one's still really active on this view. And I'm expecting more from here and here now that this has been destabilized. I also thought that we would see more over here, but I guess it's going. I think this is just waiting to spin out into a tornado. There we go. It went. It did launch. You can see it swirl itself up into a tornado right here. Watch this. Swirling itself up into a nice cone. And then once it's got enough energy, it lets go. And there's that little burst of the other colors induced by the launch of that one. Let's watch this one more time and watch this one. You can't see it quite as well as you could see it if we were perpendicular to it. But the same thing happens where we get the filament launch and then the rainbow afterwards, rainbow meaning the other wavelengths getting launched right after it. Very exciting. That means that our, I believe that means that our full moon coming up is going to be a really interesting one. Full moon is coming up on Thursday, and that is the same day that we are expected to get all of the energy from these storms. So, man, every day it's looking like we're going to have something crazier and crazier on this coming full moon. Oh, that one you can see this filament launch a lot better. Let's replay that. Let's look at this here. This is the destabilized filament we're watching. And then yeah, there we go. Oh, and you can even see it ripple outwards in this. I mean, we're still watching the ripple effect of this last one. You can see this launch too. That, and then that. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's go ahead now down to Earth. Let's see what kind of wind streams these will be interacting with. Let's start. Let's go from the top down. Let's look at the very highest level. This is the direction the winds will be headed. Should be headed when that energy reaches Earth. We've got a lot. See, the main component right poleward is going straight to here. This is how we'll know where the aurora should be coming in. Let's go down through the atmosphere though. Diving deeper, still centered around there, looking very good for Greenland and Iceland, probably up into Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland area is going to be, I expect some good aurora out of this, honestly. I'm just being frank with you. I better see some good aurora. I did get a request from a viewer today to see aurora. I will be sharing them as soon as I get some good reports. Now we're making our way down through the atmosphere. And oh my gosh, we're at the 700 level and we're already getting out of the freezing mark. Yes, we had that big polar blast. And as soon as it came, it went out of the south. We are back into Gulf of Moisture. Gulf of Moisture territory. We're looking at the Gulf of Mexico moisture coming up into here. And as we get down into the 850 level where the weather's happening and falling through, you can see it is warm aloft. It is very warm aloft up here where we have Winter Storm Jarvis, I believe is the name that they're calling it right now. Winter Storm Jarvis is hitting the Midwest and Northeast right now. Northeast looks fine for snow, but anywhere that you've got this 850 level up in like, I don't know, above freezing, 3 degrees Celsius above freezing in Chicago. We're still above freezing in South Bend, Indiana, Chicago, all the way up into the Northern Plains. That is why I'm concerned about freezing rain and sleet on top of their existing snowpack there, because the Weather Channel had some great video today coming out of central Indiana showing a nice glaze of ice just sitting right on top of the snowpack. That's what's scary because it looks like snow, it looks like wet snow, but this is all going to be ice because look, as we went from the 850 level, this is what they call a warm nose in a hodograph, which is like a map of which direction winds are going in, and you would see the winds going this way or that way. Well, no, that's a hodograph. That's where you want to see the wind directions. When you're looking at a sounding, like a vertical sounding, then you would see the warm nose. That's where you'd see that warm nose, which is what you want to see when you're expecting like a really nasty wintry mix. See how it's warmer aloft at the 850 level than it is at the 1000 level here in the Great Lakes region, Chicago area, all like north of the Ohio River. It's warm aloft and then cold down there in the surface level. Look at surface level. Yeah, surface level in the freezing temperatures. Aloft, very warm and moist. So that is why that's why all the meteorologists are calling for so much concern about sleet, freezing rain, ice storms up in the Midwest on top of where we just had a bunch of snow. And speaking of which, they had all of that in the South too, but down here in Texas, down here in the like Houston region, they're getting walloped by all of this moisture. This high over here is doing no favors for the central United States. We're expecting a lot, like very severe flooding, all the way in East Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, that whole region, the Arklatex region. But that's not all, folks. That's not the only region expecting floods right now. It is actively flooding in San Diego right now. Remember yesterday I said that this is like the seasonal rain. This is January is the wet season for the desert. Well, they are getting their desert rains all right. And San Diego is actively flooding. It's almost high tide there, or it's about high tide was at 8:30. I believe high tide over here is going to be at 11:30. And looking at the water level monitoring stations, both in San Diego and in Houston and Galveston area, they've got the tides are coming as expected, like time wise. We're getting high and low tides at the right time, but we're several feet above where the low level water mean usually is. So to me, that says we're both getting flooding and the flooding has nowhere to go. Now, I mean, like Texas was, if it didn't get ice stormed, it got flooding. And some of that ice storm, some of the ground is still frozen. Some of it is warmed up, but just a wet, boggy surface. And water can't penetrate completely dry ground, and it can't penetrate completely wet ground. So, like, there's no gradient difference. The gradient needs to be there a little bit to be able to wick the moisture into the soil. And we're looking at just not the worst conditions ever, but like some pretty bad conditions to dump. I think 6 to 8 inches of rain is what they're expecting. Let's look at the total precipitable water. Yeah, look at all that moisture. This is not supposed to stop for a few days. This is supposed to go on through the new moon or through the full moon, which again, a full moon also increases the tide level. So we're seeing flooding, a full moon, and 6 to 8 inches of rain in the Texas and Louisiana region. And even though they're only seeing like 2 or 3 inches in the San Diego region, that's a lot for them. That's like a lot. I mean, they get less rain than LA, I think. And even LA was doing bad this year with all the rain they got. So, that's another thing to mention. This past year, they got all their water debt saved up in California. They are not hurting for water over here right now. Well, I mean, the rivers always are technically. It's but the Salton Sea is filling back up. Isn't that fun? Salton City over in California in the middle of the desert, something that used to be a landlocked sea and has been abandoned salt flats for years, is filling back up, which is good because having that place dry was actually a severe health risk for everybody. It had some nasty pollutants in the dust there, so you don't want to live there. But look at this moisture. Look at this train of moisture coming like all the way from the mid-Atlantic. We're not seeing divergence until we get out here, like all the way between Africa and here. This is usually the direction that will take well, really up the coast in this way is the direction that will take moisture and heat from this ocean away from here. But right now we're getting a good component of it funneling into the Gulf of Mexico. So that is why we're seeing such high water totals, precipitable water totals, like 51 kilograms of water per square meter. That is a lot of water. And we're seeing that all around here in Mexico as well. That is probably getting dumped on. Now, interesting that there's a little dry slot here, right, for Puerto Rico. That's interesting to me because of the earthquakes that we've seen there. I find it really interesting that the storm water is coming right in here. Where we don't have earthquakes, we're having all that flooding. And in some places, there's flooding with the earthquakes. But wait, what is this giant earthquake in China? Today, we had a magnitude 7 earthquake, only 13 kilometers deep. That is ginormous. That was coincident with, oh, let me pull that back up. Let me pull up the CME list again, because I think that was coincident with a CME today. At 1800. Yeah, well, no, I made that up. It wasn't coincidental. It was right between two different coronal mass ejections. But remember how the other day we were expecting just a little glancing blow? Might get a glancing blow. This is it. This is a glancing blow. And there's also, that's not even the only one, because of course there's going to be several aftershocks. We got 5.6, 5.5, 4s, upper 4s and 5s, all today. The most recent one was a 4.6 at 10 kilometers deep. And y'all, notice how these are all at 10 kilometers deep. That same depth that we have seen all year. All year, we've seen lots of 10-kilometer deep earthquakes. I did turn this on so that we could see, turned it on for 2 days so that we could see the, I guess they've put this at a 6.6 in Brazil at the same time. 6.6 in Brazil, 6.2 south of Madagascar, 6.1 at Mariana Islands, and now a 7 at in China, surrounded by several. Let's see if I can animate these. Let's see if it'll let me. I want to get Alaska on there too. No, it won't let me get Alaska on there too. Doesn't want to. Let's animate these quakes. Look at him. Popping up everywhere. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's almost like it's going back and forth through the middle of the earth. You see that? One side to the other, one side to the other. Oh, there we go. And actually, right around the same exact time, we saw some 5s over here in Argentina, almost the same exact time. Some shallow 5s right here in South America. Had a 5.4 let's see. That is a lot. That is a lot. That is a lot. Still seeing earthquakes here in Japan. Not surprising, we're seeing active eruptions only in Mexico and Japan right now. I think this is right where this isn't Guatemala technically. Right at the Mexico southern border, where we've got Popocatépetl, Popocatépetl. I still can't say it right. It's still erupting. We've still got several active eruptions over here, but not really newsworthy. Suwanosjima is actively erupting, and Popo is actively erupting. We're not seeing anything. I don't think we're seeing anything in Iceland right now, but let's go ahead and check on their own reporting. Because it doesn't show their measurements don't show up on my summary map here. Let's actually go to their map of. Okay. So very, very low magnitude quakes just continuing to hum. Just a low hum of vibration all around this intercontinental divide on the Reykjanes Ridge. Let's look at, or peninsula. Let's look at the ridge itself. That's where we saw a 4.5 on the ridge, about right down here the other day, like off the page. And now we're seeing more off the coast. I expect there to be a lot of, I expect a lot out of this area in the next few days, honestly. Now, if I was looking at the opposite side of the planet from this, let's go ahead and look at Earthquake 3D so we can imagine. I like that we can see through the planet here. And let's just look at the ones in the past 2 days. You can see from the middle of China, looks like it's the opposite side would be here. Yeah, okay. Here. And then we turn off inside. Yeah, right off the coast of South America would be the opposite side of the globe from China. So we saw that big deep quake yesterday, and then on the other side of the planet we saw a really shallow big quake. Let's see. Yeah. Who was directly opposite this? Let's look at being directly opposite of this one. That puts us right in the middle of where we've got a lot of eruptive activity happening still in Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines area. See some in the past 2 days from the Philippines, still seeing a lot of activity in the Fiji Islands, Tonga, New Caledonia region. Still seeing a lot of activity in Japan, but again, we're seeing the matching volcanic activity with that too, so that is also interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more activity on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge now. I'm just very interested in where the momentum is going. And I'm just noting what I'm seeing. I'm not predicting anything. Just thinking about how interesting it is. Let's look at the waves. Yeah. Speaking of flooding and high tide, the waves are moving onshore at both of those locations where we are getting some onshore flooding. So onshore flooding and waves and a high tide, and the new moon is coming up. And remember, or full moon. Why do I keep saying new moon? Maybe something big will happen on the new moon, but the full moon is what I'm talking about right now. Let's go to, did I miss anything? Oh, I wanted to show you guys the currently warned areas for weather right now, because we are looking at, I guess, about 50 million people under a watch or warning of some sort of weather right now. Let's see. Hazards. Do you guys like my lighting? Anybody? It is, I've worked a little bit on my lighting setup today. The black light that I usually have here is now up here, and I've got a different black light over here so it can offset the, kind of show you how my candles are burning. Yeah, look at this. Everyone in the purple is under a winter weather advisory. Winter storm warning still in the California Sierras, in the actually the higher elevations of Nevada and Arizona. And then this is the flood warnings. The flood watch that we're looking at, flood warnings are the bright green stripes. Dense fog advisory for much of the Midwest. And that is probably because that area has had feet of snowpack over the past 3 weeks. And now it is warming up. All of that snow just evaporating, has nowhere to go. It can't run off. It can try to go into the atmosphere, but and honestly, I would not want to see some dense fog in Kansas, because the one time that I went there, buddy, there was cow pasture territory. Oh man, it was stinky. That's what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't want to smell the fog in Kansas, if you know what I'm saying. Interesting that we've still got coastal flooding as a threat here. And here, yeah, we're looking at, I don't know why that's still on a flood watch, because it is actively flooding. I don't know why they're not on a flood warning in a larger area, but as soon as you get into the upper elevations, it's snowy, snow and rain everywhere, all across the United States. Let's look at our temperature observation. Well, let's look at our observed precipitation, honestly, because that should be, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I want to see a month-long precipitation total map. I'm going to try to get that for you guys tomorrow, because this is a 24. This looks like it should be a 168 precipitation analysis, and this is only a 24-hour precipitation analysis. Very interesting. Very striking. Let's take a look. God dang. Look at that. We are getting into the 15 inches within, what is 168 hours? 5 days? That's insane. That is insane. Look at that. In 1 week, we're getting 2 feet of water. I mean, a foot, 1 foot of liquid water, but still. What? I mean, wet. Looking here, I mean, Florida doesn't, I don't even care about you, Florida. You can handle your biz. Inland Texas looks like South Texas. We're going to have a lot of flooding all the way down here. And God, just, I mean, the Northwest is a little more used to it. And then down here in coastal Texas and Louisiana, they have bayous that are supposed to be funneling that flash storm water away from city centers. But they're going to be put to the test. The levees are going to be put to the test, and it is January. I repeat, it is January of 2024, and we are already thinking about the structural integrity of levees. If y'all didn't think that this year was going to be about wild weather before. Maybe you will think that now. Very interesting to see all of this happen, like as soon as we go into Pluto and Aquarius in Aquarius season. For some reason, I've gotten the intuitive message that Aquarius has everything to do with meteorology. I don't know what I mean by that now, but I think the field and the study of meteorology is just very Aquarian. I mean, the water bears, the atmosphere bears the water. Okay. And waves, they're waves, guys. It's little waves is the symbol. This is the actual temperatures we've observed at 2 meters. That is, again, very warm considering where we were like a day ago. Look at this. We're going from, let's see who's got the biggest, most drastic warm up. I want to say it's right here. Let's see. 40s, looking at getting into the 50s from the 19 to 50. We're looking at in the middle of Kansas, going from 24 to, I'd say 45 by the time this is all said and done. Right here, 23 to 41. In Chicago, we are going from, well, this is a surface level. And remember that the surface is staying colder than it is aloft. And that also has to do with thermal mass. It's harder to, once we had that big polar air settle in for a long time and cool off the earth in these areas, of course, if there's a warm front, it's going to be able to warm up the air aloft a lot quicker than it is going to be able to warm up the air right close to the ground that just got all of its freezing soaked in. I mean, even here I'm really glad that we're back in the 40s here in the Southern Appalachians, but I mean, this is ridiculous. We're getting close to 70s after we were in 9-degree temperatures like last night. That is really hard for not only a human body, but also for a house, also for a car. I'm certain that I am not the only one having car issues right now. This is really troublesome for anybody who sleeps outside at night. I know that in Tennessee, they've seen quite a few freezing deaths as well as they have here in the mountains. It's very, very sad. But this is what we get when we have so much instability in the atmosphere. Like instability in the atmospheric conditions, like the background temperament, the baseline is all thrown off. I have been reading about the temperaments. I do want to share just a little bit of this reading that I've been going through. Now, this is 1864, Pierce, the Weather Guidebook. This is an interesting text on astrometeorology. Now, I'm not saying that this is the same thing as meteorology by any means. This is just where I am getting this kind of stuff. Interesting on its treatment of the sun in zodiac signs. We're looking at Aquarius. Aquarius, in its general character, is cold and watery. The front parts are moistening. The front parts of Aquarius are moistening. The middle is temperate and the latter parts productive of wind. The northern parts are heating, the southern cause snow. And the northern and southern they're talking about there, I think refers to the northern and southern parts of the actual constellation, and the parallel, contraparallel, the with respect to the ecliptic plane, where the planet or alignment is. So that's why let's go back to today's transits. That is why astrologers pay attention to the declination angle. Let me see if I can get, I don't know if I can get one that shows the declination angle. I don't remember which I'd click on right. Let me see if I can get lunations up. I think if I go to look for the exact aspect, we have Sun quincunx the moon. That would put it at a, what is that? A 7. That is at a 7 harmonic. I'm learning the harmonics and vibrational astrology as well. Let's look at the monthly moon aspects. Does it show parallel? Let's look at. Remember here? That's where we saw the eruption, all these moon aspects. Let's look at enters Cancer, trine Saturn. Let's look at the chart for with the angles. Conjunction with angles. No, not with angles. That's not what I want. I want to look at the chart. Let's just look at the chart for the full moon coming up. And this full moon will be opposite Pluto. This will be the first full moon opposite Pluto in Aquarius. Let's see. Is it going to give me our elevations? Yeah. Contraparallel the sun, which means it is at the same but opposite inclination above and below the ecliptic plane of the sun. We're looking at the exact full moon happening with the moon in the first house as it opposes the sun in Aquarius. That is the day that I'm expecting a lot out of our weather. I'm expecting a lot of cool weather Wednesday and Thursday. Tomorrow even, I'm expecting quite a bit as well. Let's see. Yeah, the declination angles is what I want to look at. Sun is in the south part of Aquarius right now. So that would be causing snow in the northwest or northeast. And this is putting our moon almost as high as it can go. And then we've also got Pluto is at the exact same but opposite declination from the moon. So contraparallel moon and sun. Pluto and sun are very close to each other. Yeah, this is very, very interesting for nerds. This is very interesting to nerds, but let me get back to my show. Hey, y'all, thanks for being here for the show. Thanks for being a nerd with me. I really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and do some messages from the cosmos. Yeah, I'm working on getting... I'm not going to finish that thought. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on. I got so much up my sleeves. That's why they're so big. Okay. Sorry, they're so out of tune. Still haven't fixed them up yet. Interesting. As I pulled these out, they almost didn't want to come out. Let's see what these feel-good cards have in store for us. And by feel-good cards, I mean the cards that sometimes are mean to you because they're so positive. Okay. All right. I'm doing 2 today. Because I keep getting the same ones out of this deck, which is quite interesting to me. First one we've seen before. It is contrast that puts eternalness in eternity. Your own valuable personal new desire is always born from contrast. That new desire is then heard and answered by source energy, thus the glorious expansion of the universe. We got this one the other night when it was snowing here, which I thought was very cute. And let's go for the other one that we've got here. Looks very Piscean with the little fishies on it. I look for more reasons to appreciate. I look for more reasons to appreciate. The more I appreciate, the better I feel. The better I feel, the more I am allowing who I am to flow through me. The more I allow who I am to flow through me, the better I feel. That's beautiful. That's so true. Just be yourself and it will feel good. You'll know if you're being yourself because it will feel good. It may not make other people feel good, but it'll make you feel good. And if you can't feel good without making other people feel good, first, focus on your body first. Number one, what's the body feel like? That's how you know, right? If the body never feel good, what's it trying to tell you? Each different part that hurts tells you something different. Or so I've been told by people with culture. Let's do just a clarifying card. Let's see why each of these messages came up for these. Let's do, wonder what kind of weather message we're looking for. Contrast and appreciation. I appreciate contrast because that is what makes things interesting. Got, again, I am using my holographic tarot card deck. Because I think it's pretty. Tell me what these mean. What do we want to say about the contrast in putting eternalness in eternity? Oh, I guess we're getting 2 for that one. Justice and Ace of Cups reversed. Interesting. Justice card goes with Libra, and Libra is all about that contrast, baby. Making it very pretty and aesthetic contrast. Think of it like a glamorous black and white movie. Ace of Cups reversed. Looks like it should be dumped out. Should be dumping out all the water, but it just flows back up again. Makes me think of the water cycle, honestly. Makes me think of the justice of how everything does come into balance eventually in the material world. It's just not exactly how we might imagine that it will happen. Now, let's look for more reasons to appreciate. Who wants to come up? Here. And okay. So we have the 3 of Pentacles reversed. And again, same as yesterday, the 5 of Cups. So this one to me screams, just think positively, bud. I mean, you don't have to be so emo all the time. You don't have to be walking around in a black coat, black cloak, looking sad just because 3 of your cups fell and you only have 2 left. Remember that you still have 2 left. And then 3 of Pentacles reversed makes me think about connections, community, building things together. I mean, in here it's in the depiction, it's a stonemason conferring with the, I guess, clergy and the financiers of the church about his work. This is in reverse, so it is an inverse flowing of this energy feedback on your work. Let's not think about how others are going to judge our work. Let's appreciate that we get to do the work. Let's appreciate that we get to use our skills. Let's appreciate our fine craftsmanship, even if other people don't understand our fine craftsmanship, because they can't do it. There's a reason they got you to do it, because they don't know how to do it. And if they did, they wouldn't have asked you to do it. So, yeah, I like that. Only you can do what you can do. And you can only do what you can do. Okay. I think that's about it for today's episode. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. Again, if you're seeing this on Facebook, please follow me on YouTube, because I'm on YouTube will show me the live comments on my streaming software, and I can't get my live YouTube comments on the streaming software. So I'll come back in and address your comments if you were watching on Facebook, but hopefully I won't have to stream to Facebook too often anymore. I'm just trying to get it out there that I'm doing this. But yeah, come join us on the YouTube community, because that's where I'm going to be most often. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Man, we got 3 now that I'm going off air. Again, this was an episode of Today's Weather Tonight with Cloud Hudson. I am broadcasting for you every night on YouTube at Cloud Hudson, sometimes on Twitter and Facebook as well. And yeah, we're looking at a recap, lots of storms, lots of flooding. The big polar air mass is melting. We're looking at freezing rain in the north. We're looking at southern snowstorms happening in the northwest. Very interesting time to be a water pipe in a home in Indiana. You know, it would be so sounds like there's a lot of pressure on them right now. I know that people in Indiana are worried about their frozen lakes thawing really suddenly, on top of getting a lot of moisture, the moisture that Texas is currently getting. And there's a large warm nose aloft above much of the Midwest and Northeast. So we're looking at a lot of moisture liquefying itself right now. From in one way or another, there is a lot of a deluge, a flood of all types, just a patchwork quilt, a multi-level marketing. No, what do you call it? A mixed media. This is a mixed media canvas of how to make it flood, because we are getting every different type of flooding that you can get currently in the United States. Really interested to see how that plays out for us. Man, I hope that everybody has taken good care of the water on their property. I hope that your local municipalities didn't believe 100-year flood maps, because we are seeing those become more like 10-year flood maps. Yeah, don't believe climatology believe climatology. Don't believe climo data as your bread and butter of what's going to happen to a local infrastructure. Don't rely on historical weather patterns to make decisions as a local municipality right now, because we are seeing some events that are very abnormal, and I expect that this is only going to continue throughout the year. I expect a lot of crazy weather. Yeah, if you're in Texas, or if you have people in South Texas or in Southern California right now, remember to tell them all of your favorite how to not die in a flood tips. And if you know anybody in the Northeast who is not taking the freezing rain seriously, please let them know that there's a reason that Southern people freak out in the winter, and it's not because we're dumb and we don't know how to drive in snow. I mean, there's that too. But Southern people get the type of winter weather that the folks in from Chicago through Cleveland through like all of the Midwest is going to get some southern type icy, slushy, gross, freezing rain, accretion type precipitation. Please warn them that that is actually extremely dangerous, especially for places that are set up with a different type of infrastructure. If you're a place that is expecting to be frozen in snow all winter, you're not going to be able to handle this freezing rain on top of the ice very well. So please warn your friends. Don't scare them. Like, we don't have to be scared. Just like take it seriously. Freezing rain is a very significant threat. And so are thawing rivers. So if you live near a thawing river, creek, everywhere is thawing right now, thawing and melting. So be really careful. We're getting a lot of moisture and warmth from the Gulf into the heart of the United States, where we have been frozen solid for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So, again, just take it seriously. Don't be a hero. Freezing rain, it can be way more destructive than a blizzard if you don't know what you're doing with the freezing rain. So, yeah, all of that is just to say, welcome to Pluto and Aquarius. We're really putting our physical limits to the test, and we are putting our faith in the waves. All right. I love you guys very much. I'm eager to see who came on stream tonight. Love y'all. Have a good one. Bye.